Hi, welcome to another tutorial from Shiny White Box. This time we're going to cover a couple of basic tips and tricks. Included in this menu is going to be using the follow mouse and slow capture mode, recording in high frame rates, using zoom, and also Mouseposé. I hope you enjoy it. Feel free to visit the forums for more info. Hi there, we're just going to talk about the follow mouse cursor and slow capture rate when not moving mouse options. These are primarily intended to create smaller videos that are useful for sending short communications to people. I, for example, use them to talk about Xcode or compilation or coding problems with people that I know. It's much faster for me to record something weird that's happening than it is to try and describe it via words in an email. So let's talk about how to use these effectively. So first thing I'll do is I'll describe what the slow capture rate when not moving mouse does. And that's probably best done using a video. So let's have a capture guide when we're recording and check our capture record area. That's enough. Okay, and start. Okay, so slow capture rate when not moving mouse obviously implies that it has something to do with mouse movement, which is important when you're using follow mouse cursor as an option. Now I've intentionally kept the capture guide moving here. Okay, let's stop it. In fact, let's stop it and go over something that moves. The level indicator. Watch the level indicator. Right now, as I'm recording, it's 15 odd times per second. It's sitting there and it's updating and it's bouncing around. In the final movie, which I'll play you in a moment, you won't see that, right? Because the mouse has stopped moving, capture speed is now down to 2 frames per second. Okay, and this is intentional. This is to save space in the final video. Right, let's just take a look at that movie. Okay, so slow capture rate when not moving mouse obviously implies that it has something to do with mouse movement, which is important when you're using follow mouse cursor as an option. Now I've intentionally kept the capture guide moving here. Okay, let's stop it. In fact, let's stop it and go over something that moves. The level indicator. Watch the level indicator. Right now, as I'm recording, it's 15 odd times per second. It's sitting there and it's updating and it's bouncing around. Okay, so there you see that now everything is slow. Right, the level is being updated slowly. So the intention of this technique is to produce a small file. Now, probably the two things you can do that'll help you, let's take a look at one of them, which is preferences. So I'm just going to go grab those now for you. Okay, use a slow tracking speed, right, and try and move the mouse slowly. Now you'll notice in my first attempt there where I was keeping the mouse moving like this in the circle, when you look at the resulting video, that's pretty seasick inducing. Not a good thing. Okay, so it's a good idea. Let's say I'm demonstrating this software. I move the mouse, I click somewhere else here. Take your hand off the mouse, pause, talk, let the video settle, let the visual settle before moving on to the next thing. But hey, everyone's different. You might want to have people be seasick at your videos, who knows. Anyway, I hope that's useful in terms of describing what the intention behind these two options is, and hopefully you've learned something from it. Okay, next tip is talking about the zoom function that I've sometimes used in my videos. This can be useful to highlight a space. Let's give you an example. Let's say I'm talking about universal access, which I am, and I want to highlight that icon too. So I put the mouse over it and I press my hotkey combination and it becomes a bit bigger. Now I've made mine only zoom in a little bit, but let me show you how I've set that up. Okay, so open up your system preferences and select universal access, which is that one there. Okay, so you want to have zoom. Let me over display this. Zoom on, and check out your options. Okay, so let's actually just go to 2 times. 2 times is about enough. I mean, you might sort of think 4 to 6 is pretty cool, or 5. But let me show you what happens. Say we're talking about an area and we zoom in. It's kind of a little bit overkill. So let's bring it back to 2, and if I then wanted to say you should have smooth images enabled, zoom in on that, that would be fine, and only when the pointer reaches an edge do you want to move it. Okay, this means I can move the mouse here, and it's within my recording rectangle, but the thing doesn't move all over the place. I mean, change to see how you know what you think. But that's it. That's how I'm using it. So that's what lets me zoom in to show a point. Let's talk about capturing high frame rates. Okay, H.264 isn't a good idea. Right, I would use either Apple Animation or Apple Intermediate. Apple Intermediate is here. You only will have Apple Intermediate installed if you have installed iLife. Why do I choose those two? Simply because they are efficient codecs. They don't take much time CPU wise, and if you want a high frame rate, then you're basically asking iShowU to do a lot more work than it would normally, as it has to compress each of these things X many times per second. Okay, so one thing you don't want is slow capture rate when not moving mouse. We turn that off. Follow mouse cursor. It really depends. You can have that on or off if you like. So let me let's try something here. I'm actually recording at 36 frames per second using two instances of iShowU. This one's just sitting on the screen, so I've got mine set up to be pretty much like that actually, I think. Yep. So let's give it a go. I'm going to zoom in and out and in and out and in and out. So hopefully you'll actually see some animation there. Okay. Right. Now why wouldn't you do this? Main reason is recording at 36 frames a second you're going to be producing quite a big video. But you can get around this by re-encoding it later, which is kind of the point of this discussion. So when you're done with your video, let's do a real quick one, and I shall just record here and in, out, in, out. Okay, my machine's probably dying because I've got two instances of iShowU trying to record at high frame rates. Finish that. Hasn't come out brilliantly. As I said, I've got two versions of iShowU recording, but let me very quickly show you if I could work out how to use QuickTime. To get the result you want, choose to export the movie. So I'm pressing down Apple and E, okay, which gives me in QuickTime Pro the export function. High FPS small movie. Okay, and generally what I do here is I will choose H.264 medium quality. Let me just bring that up so you can see it. Bring that into view. Leave the frame rate alone, and a data rate of automatic, quality of medium, with best quality multipass. I shall change the size. This is one problem with QuickTime Pro, that if you're doing this a lot, then your sizes change and you actually have to check your settings every single time you do something because they could change. So I'll leave the resolution as it is so that it doesn't get rescaled. Sound is fine, and prepare for internet streaming is fine as well. Go and save. Okay, and that gives me the compression of H.264, which is great, with the animation capability of Apple Intermediate. That's tip number 2. Okay, the final tip we have for you is really about using another tool, Boinks Mouseposé, along with iShowU. It's going to be really quite useful if you want to highlight something. It's an alternative to using the zoom. Highlight something while recording. So here I've got my hotkey set up to be Command, I believe we call it in the Mac land, Command F1, with a automatic deactivation of 6 seconds. So let's say I'm saying you want to load universal access. I can do that, and that's where universal access is, and after 6 seconds I would hope that it deactivates. It does. Okay, and of course we can change all kinds of things, so we can make it pretty big like that. We can change the blur radius, so it can be quite crazily blurred with a little bit more focus, and we can change the opacity. And you can animate start or not. If you don't animate, then it's just bangs immediately in and immediately off. If you do animate, You get a little bit of a fade effect. Okay. Now, I won't go over all of the things of the Mouseposé and what it does, but I did just want to highlight that as a tool that works pretty happily with iShowU and may be useful to you in the future.